God is deliverer. The Lord is healer. The Lord is situation fixer. He sticks closer than a brother. Let's give the Lord one more hand clap. How about one for the Father? How about one for the Son? How about one for the Holy Ghost? Some exciting folks in the sanctuary today. Hey, how many of y'all been praising the Lord all week long? Hallelujah. That's the way to go. Praise Him. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, as well as Sunday. Well, I want to welcome everybody to the Greater Faith Grace Bible Church in the city of Rialto, California, where the pastor Harry Lee Bratton is the pastor.
Thank you.
Our worship service starts at 10:15 a.m. every Sunday. We're all about praising God. We're all about lifting up the name of Jesus. Pointing some lost souls on God's right pathway. The Bible tells me Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. The Lord is worthy to be praised. I want to share something this morning about a man in the Bible. Not too much written about him. You know, he wasn't governor of Israel, wasn't a wealthy man, wasn't a strong physical man like Samson, wasn't a prophet, wasn't a priest. But let me tell you what the Bible wrote about him in Genesis chapter 5, verse 24. It says, "And Enoch walked with God, and it was not for God took him." Say God took him, that means his physical body did not die. Didn't have a funeral, because God decided to take him. Just took him up. Only a few other people Jesus was taken up. I think Elijah, only just a few people. This is what Hebrews 11:5 adds something to it. It says, "For before he was taken, he had this testimony, that he pleased God." Hallelujah. I said, that he pleased God. Amen. And I want to encourage you this morning to have the testimony of Enoch. To please God. But what does the Bible say? He walked with God. That's fairly simple. How many of y'all ever walked with somebody? Another translation says he had constant fellowship with God. You know, when a young man has a few potential marriage people that he could marry, but he finds just one. They've been dating, said, "I want you to walk with me and marry me." He picks one, and God picked Enoch. He walked with God, and he pleased God. God was pleased with him because he walked with him. And you know, it's not hard to please God. All we have to do is walk with him. Amen. Have some fellowship with him. Amen. You know, as a man and his wife will have some close fellowship, the Lord wants to have fellowship with us. Amen. He didn't please God because he did all of these works. How many of you know one of the most important things for us is to have fellowship with God? Yeah. Check this out. There was no Bible back there when he walked. There was no Bible, no instruction manual. But Enoch decided, I'm going to walk with this God. I'm going to have some fellowship with him every day. That pleases God. That pleases God. And I want to say this today to the saints. Encourage somebody else to walk with God. Amen. By inviting them to the house of God. Yes. By telling them about Jesus Christ, Lord and Savior for all mankind.
Glory, glory, glory.
If we could just point one soul to the right path, just one soul, that'd be a blessing. How many of y'all have been pointed by somebody? I know I've been pointed by somebody to Jesus. I can remember a few people who invited me to church.
Yes, sir.
I remember once a Jehovah's Witness. All the time ago, I was just a young child. What did he do? He knocked on my door. Took the time out to tell me and my mother about Jesus. I thank that man for that too. Because now I'm on my way to heaven. I think somebody used to sing a song, I'm on my way to heaven and I'm glad, so glad about it. I'm so glad to be saved. Yes, sir. We're going to have a good time today. Amen. We're going to, I think it's time for testimony. We're going to have some testimony, a few testimonies. We're going to praise and worship the Lord. Pastor Brian's going to preach the word. All this is going on so somebody will surrender and allow the Lord Jesus Christ to become Savior of the world. See, we're not just here to have a good time. We're here for salvation.
Yes, sir.
We're here so our names will get written down in God's book of life. So if the Lord's touching your heart after Pastor Brian preaches, he's going to extend the invitation to somebody to get saved. Right now we got three quick testimonies, short version of what the Lord has done for you. Short versions. Brothers coming with the mic. Brothers coming with the mic. Okay, 3 people. Uh-oh. Sister Carol got a testimony.
Praise the Lord, saints. Praise the Lord, saints.
Praise God. Praise God.
Everyone know that the health fair is coming up.
Yes, yes.
And yesterday, me and Sister Linda, we went and took flyers to the Dollar Tree. She calls it the green tree. Okay, we went to the Dollar Tree yesterday, and we were sitting there witnessing. A lot of people out there, they just needed prayer.
Amen.
They didn't even want to hear about the fair. But some way, we were looking for a massage therapist. I called around, and still couldn't get a massage therapist. So this guy comes up, me and Sister Linda, we tell him about the fair. He goes, you know what? I am a massage therapist, a yoga instructor, and meditation. Instead of coming, he says, I'll be at your fair. And he also gave us his website. What an awesome God we serve.
Somebody else? Somebody else. Okay, the son of the brother. What's your name?
Robin Johnson.
Garvin Johnson got a testimony. Shortly now, shortly.
Yeah, my name is Norman Johnson. I'd like to say briefly that I just come from a tour of drug, alcohol, and insanity, 35 years from downtown. And I'm now 3 years clean and sober.
Amen. God can heal folks from the drug dealer. Nothing is too hard for the Lord. Nothing. Okay, somebody else. Got time for one more. Okay, so nobody raised their hand. Now she got 2. All right. See, y'all lost your opportunity because you were slow. You were slow. You lost your opportunity.
Pastor, I didn't tell you this, but praise the Lord.
Praise God. Praise God.
Was it 3 years ago, Pastor, I lost my grandbaby?
Right, yeah, yes.
3 years ago, I lost my grandbaby. She was 10, about 2 weeks. My son and his wife didn't tell me that his wife was pregnant because she was high-risk pregnancy. She did not tell me until she was like 7 months pregnant. Okay, not knowing that she was going to Loma Linda, getting these shots every week to keep the baby in. She was going to get these shots every week because she was high-risk pregnancy. But she delivered a healthy baby girl.
Glory to God.
I didn't want to tell you guys because I was nervous myself. But anyway, she delivered a 6-pound, 8-ounce baby girl.
Glory to God.
At Loma Linda. God was good. God was good.
Glory, glory. Now we're in the hands of Sister Tanya, music minister.
Praise the Lord, praise the Lord, praise the Lord. Listening to all those testimonies just amazes me and lets us know how great our God is. And yes, that's what we're going to be doing. How great is our God. Gosh, what did you say? In time
Hallelujah. Belongs to you. Thank you, First Lady, sweetheart. I love that song, and thank you so much. Appreciate that. These awesome musicians here. Thank you so much for your contribution to our worship services. It's such an awesome blessing, amen. To you, Reverend Daniel, for encouraging us and giving us the words, amen, to encourage us in our walk with the Lord, amen. Praise God, amen. And to our dynamic readers and ushers, thank you for making the accommodation for coming to the church, the house of God, and to feel welcome, to feel valued and appreciated. And to our multimedia team, thank you for monitoring the sound and making sure that the live stream goes well and all those things. And to all of precious people of God today, thank God for each one of you today. It's a pleasure, it's an honor, it's humbling to know that God has chosen me at such a time as this. In your spiritual leader, your senior pastor, to watch over your souls, to teach the Word of God, and try to make you and present you complete in Christ Jesus. Amen. I'm so encouraged by all of you and your prayers and the things that you do. And minister one to another. Allow me to minister to you also. My family is such a blessing. I just thank God every time I have the opportunity to stand before people here to share God's Word. That I just love you and appreciate you so very, very much. Amen. And as I look out today, I mind by see a very beloved friends of Greater Faith Grace Bible Church family. Amen. And the Book of Asking, that's precious like Joyce. They have played such a vital role in this church ministry. Amen. And a few years ago, they relocated to Louisiana. And since that time, there's been a big boy in our church here. But thank God, he's always replenished us and did things. Thank God for them. Amen. And everything with us today is such a blessing. I have him say some words in the service here, and just express things. He's here for you because one of our other beloved members, you know her, Sister Gwen Jackson, passed away. We were going to a memorial service for the day in Corona to celebrate her homegoing and say farewell to her. And I was looking out there and saying, yes, sir, don't let me die. God bless you, brother. Hey, good to see you this morning. Amen. Hallelujah. Praise God. So it's good. And all those invited guests, thank you for that right there. Amen. It's such a blessing. I also remember any of you today who have not filled out the plot notes, contact leadership, please do so that they don't make sure instructions to you. I know most of you have already done it already. You have already put your name down there. Make sure it's there so I can send you notice, I notify you and things like that. Some of you already get those daily words for the day. Amen. Those who watch, you know what I've been going through the alphabet. And so Monday and Tuesday, you will get the last two letters of the alphabet, which is Y and Z. Amen. Then we'll start something else. But I want just to keep you encouraged, amen, and thank you for that and be able to share it. Just to let you know I love you, want to see you continue to stay focused on the things of God. And also to our guests, thank you for being our guest today. Our new friend, we pray that you're a blessing to you today. Well, now we're going to look into the Word of God, the Word of truth. Amen. Come to the service right now. I want to share what God's Word says. Would you bow your hearts, heads, bless God's blessings today. Father, we thank you excitement of this here precious victory celebration assembly today. When we come together as a body of believers, different backgrounds, different cultures, different race, but all united in the bond of the Spirit of Jesus Christ. Pledging our allegiance to you as the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Proclaiming that you are the King, you are great, and there's no one besides you. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Father, for what we've been able to experience up to this here point of the service. The beautiful music that just tune our hearts for heavenly things. The testimony that remind us of what a good, powerful, and great God that you are. And the prayers communicating with you and being in touch with you. So now, Father, come with a spoken word. Open our ears that we may hear your voice. Open our mouths that we might praise you. Open our eyes that we might see your glory.
Yes, Lord.
Open our minds and transform by the word. And Father, open our hearts to receive your fullness. This I pray in Jesus' name.
In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
Did you get some hot water here? Amen. Hallelujah. Yes, it's nice to sit with you this morning and to share the truth of God's word. Well, it's about, what, 11:15 now? So, with a little continual tailwind and a few shouts and amens, we're going to be out of here around high noon. Amen. Gary Cooper time. Date myself. Thank you. Well, today we're going to conclude part 2 of the short series titled Good Intentions, but Incorrect. Amen. Last week we dealt with Proverbs 22:6 and Philippians 4:13, where there's good intentions but incorrect. I'll give you a brief synopsis. If you want to watch the whole sermon, you can go to our website, www.GBC Rialto, and you can watch it on YouTube or Google, okay? Last we talked about Proverbs 22:6, which says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he's old, they will not depart from it. And many times when our children have gone astray and walk away from God, and we, as parents, we try to raise them in the right way and teach them the right things, and they stray away, we run to that verse right there, expecting it to be a solid, sound, 100% foolproof verse. Train is the way you go, the older one that part we found out the intention is good, but incorrect. Proverbs is not a book of guaranteed absolute promises. It's a book of principles that if you abide by them, you're guaranteed to have the most success most of the time. Amen. We shared the fact that King Solomon is the one who wrote that proverb. He came up in the right way, but he went the wrong way. Amen. And so don't take it as a guaranteed verse. It is just reminded to do it if we do the most things. It's talking about having wisdom, ways to get kids having wisdom so that we make the right choices. It's not a guarantee that your child will return. And kids must learn to, and to make their own mistakes, they must deal with their own consequences. Amen. So don't just say that's going to guarantee that child going to come back. Amen. But we don't give up praying and trusting God. Amen. It's all in God's hand. And then we talked about Philippians 4:13, which says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And that's not talking about strength to win a football game in the closing seconds or to make a 3-point one shot in the last second of the game, or strength to stand up and give a presentation in church, or to stand up and do something, lift up a big 100-pound weight. It's talking about I can do all things through Christ and give me the strength to be content. It's about contentment. It's about trusting in God, depending on God, amen, and not getting caught in what you don't have or don't receive, amen. Whether they have a lot or a little bit, God gives me strength to be content and not get worried about those things. Because we learned in that verse right there, if we find ourselves being content and not worried, we're able to rejoice and praise God more. Amen. You cannot praise God, amen, and be worried at the same time right there. So we broke down those two verses right there. So I kind of rocked the world last week. And today I want to just kind of perhaps help with another verse this morning here. And I want to begin, if you just bear with me for a few moments here, I want to begin by reading a rather lengthy testimony from Hillary Yancey. I got this in my magazines, Christian Times magazines, and it's kind of a good introduction into what I'm going to share today about good intentions but incorrect. It's rather long, but I want you to bear with me as I read this to you, and you will hear something very gut-wrenching, very touching, and very emotional, especially, toward ladies, amen. And it's called My Son's Suffering. Help me understand God's sufferings. It says, the birth of my child transformed my view of the problem of pain and divine foreknowledge. This is by Hillary Yancey. So bear with me as I read this here testimony to you. It says, a few months into our pregnancy with Jackson, we received a phone call. The nurse's thin voice slipped out of the speakers on my phone, and with it the words with medical definition: cleft lip and palate. Followed up by ultrasound, high risk pregnancy. Now, when I leaned up against the bricks of the room, when I first heard those words, they echo back, the walls keeping a record of the moment that everything changed. From there on, we had ultrasounds, what felt like hundreds, but what I know now were only 9. The maternal fetal medicine specialist ordered a fetal MRI, an unusual procedure attempting to understand our son's face. There were second and third phone calls. The news rolled in. Jackson had no right eye, a very small jaw and chin, no external ear, significant facial cleft. They called it in the genetic council office. We asked what language we should use to tell our family and friends. She goes on to say, I inhaled the words and they filled my lungs with cold water. And it seemed that every breath for the next 20 weeks of my pregnancy came out like a gasp. During those 20 weeks, between the first phone call and Jack's first breath, we drove hundreds of miles to and from the hospital, to and from each consultation, each proximate diagnosis. When we drove, we listened to songs about miracles. We listened to praise music from our childhoods, gospel choirs, and old hymns. We also began a journey to understand faith and suffering and uncertainty. I prayed desperately, night after night, that God would not let anything happen to this baby. As the 18-week ultrasound approached, I became convinced that something was wrong. What could we learn? That we could learn something terrible that Friday afternoon. The exam was completely silent. The technician commented only once to express frustration that the baby moved so much that she was having trouble getting good pictures of the face. She sighed multiple times, tracing the same circles around and around, shifting in her chair. When she said that the baby was so active, I tried to smile. "That's good, right?" She said nothing. I continued to stare at the green and cream borders of the walls. There was a large calendar just opposite the exam table. Turned to the month of April. It had platitudes written across a beautiful sunrise background with things like live, laugh, love, and every act of kindness grows the spirit and strengthens the soul. The kind of quotes people hang on refurbished shiplap in their homes. I read the words and swallowed too loudly. I wondered if she could hear my heart pounding against my bones. I wondered if she was judging me for my silence, my lack of joy. I wondered if she even registered my face for hunting for my child. I prayed in that room while lying anxiously horizontal position. God spoke one thing back, something I proclaimed for a week or two until the diagnosis, until the end and the beginning. She can never tell you something about this person I don't already know. That's deep. You say, whatever this nurse tells you about him, I already know about God. I already know about that. When we think about God's foreknowledge, we are tempted to run so far out, foreknowledge trailing us behind like a kite. We cannot do, say, think, be anything but what God has already seen, already ordained, already determined. We think in terms of past and present and future. And God contains them all in a knowledge, bucket of truth about us. We think God already knows. And we often translate this as, God already made it to be the case, or God already did. At least we think, I can't be anything except this. But I think God's foreknowledge and might be better understood as an action. God foreknows because He is in all the places where we will go. He stands next to us and hears us before and after we get there. He hovers over us in and through time. And here the descriptions feel thin. Unable to pin down the truth, God stands where we will stand. God moves where we will move. God sees what we do not yet, but someday we'll see. The summer I was pregnant with Jackson as I studied for a conference exam on ancient and medieval philosophy. I read St. Augustine and Boethius on the question of foreknowledge. They wondered together, despite the years between them, about how foreknowledge and freedom coincide. Boethius writes, in the voice of Lady Philosophy, that human reason cannot approach the immediacy of divine knowledge. God is an eternal present looking for a familiarity, a closeness with all we call future. God is immediate with the future. She can never tell you something about this person I do not already know. Again, she's saying, God can never tell, nobody can tell me something about myself that God does not already know. We are quick to think that because God knew, God caused, or because God knew, God made it that way. That it could not be different. That God already planned it all. We wonder why. If God knew something was going to happen, he didn't intervene. Why didn't he change the results of the ultrasound? Why didn't he prevent what I already knew was coming? But if we imagine that this knowledge of God is about things we do not know, it's more like God seeing, God standing somewhere and understanding things we haven't yet learned. I wonder if this might give us room to breathe. I wonder if we might stop trying to work out the calculus of causation, how God fits nicely into the narrative, how to make sense of suffering. If it's true that God already knows the suffering, maybe it doesn't mean that God caused it that simple way we often like to pretend. Maybe it just means that God has already experienced the suffering, stood in the midst of it, known you in the midst of it, known your heart, known this breaking. Maybe it's also true then that God has known its mending and enjoying these experiences together in the immediacy of his knowing. The idea of normal pregnancy died on that table. In the quiet before the technician brought my husband Preston back. It must have died long before, at the time the ideas of pregnancy should die, when the child arrives, when the pregnancy begins. I didn't know it then. Then I only knew that God had been saying his knowing was more immediate and the perfect than the unfriendly technician. I knew that when Preston came back and she turned the screen around, our boy wiggled, rolled around 3 or 4 times in 30 seconds. That it was definitely a boy. It was definitely ours. That I loved every tiny highlighted bone and every mysterious piece of him moving through me. I knew that we would name him Jackson Ave, which means God has been gracious and beloved friend. I knew we would laugh and cry about how we thought Jackson was a girl all these weeks. My normal pregnancy died with enunciation. God has been gracious. God's given us a gift, a beloved friend. She closed by saying, no one could ever tell us anything about Jackson God did not already know. Amen. That is so deep. A little bit longer and lengthy, but it's a good backdrop and illustration to what I'm going to share this morning. See, Hillary Yancey, she had a very sound biblical worldview about the situation, and it did not alter or shatter her faith or trust in the goodness of God. Some of us here today, personally, I may know somebody who has really been through some really difficult, trying, rubber meets the road condition in your life where you just felt like throwing up your hands, wondering, how am I going to make it? How am I going to deal with this right here? And we try to find consolation in the scriptures, praise God, and Psalm, and things like that, and it seems like nothing seemed to help the situation. Is there an amen in the house for that right there? Amen. Some of you even here today have shared with me from your heart some of the pain, some of the heartache, the grief and the sorrow that you've been dealing with, had to deal with over an extended period of time. And I prayed with you, prayed for you, and I saw the tears in your eyes. And I know it's greatly affected you in more ways than one. And just like this lady Hillary here had this situation here, and perhaps I'm kind of like, now I'm going to use my imagination right now, but perhaps some Christian brother or sister may have heard about her plight, heard about her situation, heard about what she's going through and been up against, and called Sister Yancy and wanted to give her some hope and some encouragement. So he called her and said, Sister Yancy, it may have been you or Brother so-and-so or whoever it may be, maybe you person. Said, you know, I have heard about what you're going through with your son. And I have been praying for you and your family. And Sister Yancy, I want you to know today, God will not put any more on you than you can bear.
All right.
Some of us today may have spoken those words to somebody when they're going through the struggles of life. Some of us today may have uttered those words to ourselves when the weight of the world is falling upon us. We have to deal with some deep, painful situation and conditions. And those words, they sound so beautiful. And they're meant to encourage, to strengthen you. See, those words have good intentions, but incorrect. Whoa, Pastor, you just shocked me. You just tore down my whole theology right now. You done made me a wreck. I've been counting those words right now. I've been living by those words, amen. That God will not put any more on you than you can handle. Pastor, I'm going through it right now. Up against it right now. See, in reality, those words do not seem to ease the load or our pain. Secondly, we ask, are those words actually found in the scriptures? I mean, and really in our heart, I mean, it sounds so spiritual. It sounds so meaningful and so helpful to know that I know you're going through some stuff here and you're about to fall apart and give up. I come along and say, all the going through, you lost us, you have bad health, you lost your job, kids racking up, you have got a very important doctor come on and say, you know, brother, so God will put him on you, and you can bear. And it's in the name of Jesus. But let's unpack that now. When you read 2 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 14, verse 4 through 10, the Apostle Paul tells us some of the troubles, the stresses he went through and had to endure. There was a whole lot for a person to have to deal with. So the next time you think it's going bad, go to 2 Corinthians and read 2 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 4 through 10. Paul talking about this, look right here. But everything commending ourselves as servants of God, in much endurance, in afflictions, in hardships, in distresses, in beatings, in imprisonments, in tumults, in labors, in sleeplessness, in hunger, in purity, in knowledge, in patience, in kindness, in the Holy Spirit, in genuine love, in the word of truth, in the power of God, by weapons of righteousness, for the right hand and for the left, by glory and dishonor, by evil report and good report, regarding deceivers and yet true, as unknown yet well known, as dying yet behold, we live as punished yet not put to death, as sorrowful, yet always rejoicing, as poor, yet making many rich, as having nothing, yet possessing all things. Paul went through some stuff right there. So next time you want to go to your own pity party, go back and read that right there, amen. Okay. Now, at the beginning of that same letter, before Paul got right there, here's our text right now. Before Paul said all those words right there, if you go back to 2 Corinthians chapter 1 and verse 89, after Paul said, blessed be God, then he says right here, in the New Living Translation, it says right here, we think you ought to know, dear brothers and sisters, about the trouble we went through in the province of Asia. Listen closely. We were crushed and overwhelmed beyond our ability to endure. Y'all catch that? He says we were crushed and overwhelmed beyond our ability to endure. And we thought we would never live through it. So don't go telling me that God won't put more than you can handle. Don't give me that lie no more. Stop lying to folks. God will allow more on you than you can stand. Beyond you can endure. And then he goes on to explain why. He says, we thought we were going to die. In fact, we expected to die. But as a result, we stopped relying on ourselves and learned to rely on God. Y'all catch that? So don't go telling me when you're going through some trials and troubles, God will put them on you can bear. Yes, he will. Yes, he will. Yes, he will. Say, neighbor, God will put more on me than I can bear. And the reason is so you will stop trusting in yourself and start trusting in God. That's why it's more you can bear. As long as I can handle it, why do you need God? As long as I can endure it, why do I need God? As long as I can stand under pressure, why do I need God? As long as I can make it, I can hold on, as long as I know I can, why do I need God? But the moment I know, I can't make it. I can't make it. It's more than I can bear. See, when you lose a loved one, that's when the more than you can bear. You can't make it by yourself. When your whole world is falling apart and it's crumbling and you're experiencing death after death, bad after bad, that's more than you can bear. Stop relying on yourself. God's saying, it's more than you can bear. So what you do is start relying on me. I will be your burden bearer. I will be your strength. So stop believing that lie and telling folks that lie. It's not in the Bible. It's not in the Bible. God put so much on Paul. Paul said, it was beyond our strength to endure it. Paul said, I thought we were going to die. But as a result, he says, we stopped. All God is saying when you're going through a trial and you think you can make it is to stop relying on yourself and trust in me. I've learned, Paul said, I learned it. See, that's what you gotta learn. Say, neighbor, I must learn that. Neighbor, I gotta learn that one, amen. See, as I've done, you gotta learn that. You kept relying on yourself, amen. You still hey, guys, I want you to learn this right, amen. It's more than you can bear, so that you can depend on God. Who raises the dead. There is a song by Casting Crowns that really illustrates this here thought. Now, which he says, it's titled Just Be Held. Some of you have heard that song before. The lyrics go, hold it all together. Everybody needs you strong. I gotta be strong for such a, no you don't. I need to be strong for my brother, I need to be strong for my sister, I need to be strong. No you don't. When the pressure hits you, you be as weak as you need to be. Come on. So they don't rely on you. They also rely on God. Amen. You ain't got to be strong on nobody. Christ be that strength, amen. Yes. Stop believing that lie. You got to be strong for somebody else. No, you don't.
Yes, Lord.
Don't ever think you got to be strong for somebody else. Let them find their strength in God. The same place you find your strength.
Hallelujah.
You're going to lie to do. I got to be strong for you. I need to be strong for them right now. No, you don't. You barely make it yourself. You about to cave in. What more strong you going to go under? Come on now. Am I helping you this morning?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Strong with Christ, amen. Then he says, it goes on to say, but life hits you out of nowhere and barely leaves you holding on. When you're tired of fighting, chained by your control, there's freedom in surrender. Lay it down, let it go. So when you're on your knees and answers seem so far away, you are not alone. Stop holding on and just be held. Beautiful. Beautiful. Oh, yeah. Your world is not falling apart. It's falling in place. I'm on the throne. Stop holding on. Just be held. Just be held. Say, sometimes you see, you gotta say, Lord, just hold me. God, just hold me. Just hold me. I'm tired of to hold on and struggle and fight. God, just hold me. Some of you say, I'm holding on. Hanging in it. No. Let go. And say, God, just hold me. God, I need to be held. It's painful, it's hurting, it's excruciating. I don't know if I can make it. It's more than I can bear.
Come on.
So God, hold me. I just need to be held right now. Rock my arms right now.
Yes, Lord.
Is that blessing you, amen?
Yes.
So when you find yourself in that position and condition where it's more than you can bear, he's saying, trust me, let me just ask you a question. When was the last time you've been up against the troubles of life and you just stopped and said, Lord, hold me. You fighting and struggling and scratching and stressing. To stop back and say, God, just hold me. Just hold me. And your mom know what it is when you have a crying baby. It's something to hold that baby close to you. That just comfort that child. Don't you just hold the book. Something we're like that crying, whining baby. And just to be held by God close to his heart. Lord. And you get to feel that love of a mother.
Hallelujah.
And the child begins to calm down in there. You got to just hold him. So God, just hold him. Say, neighbor.
Neighbor.
There are times.
There are times.
When I need to.
When I need to.
Just be held.
Just be held.
Just bless me, amen.
Yes.
Just help me, something, amen. Good intentions, but incorrect I'm getting close to high noon here, so let me, man, so those times come, issues of life, more than you can bear. Admit, and just admit it's more than I can bear. God knows it already, man. God does not want us relying on our own strength. So again, remember, God will give you and me more than we can bear, so we can learn to rely on Him and not upon ourselves.
Amen.
Yeah. Remember, Jesus said, apart from me, you can do nothing. Without Him, you can't make it without me, Jesus said. John 15:5. I said, okay, Pastor. Now that you brought my theology, and gave me and took away my hope, encouraging words here. It's not my belief system. I need something else to hold on to now. I can't use that no more. That's out the window. That get the boot. Boot. I can't use that no more. So, where does that idea come from? Where does it come from? Anybody have an idea? Well, if you think about 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13, you are correct. That's where it comes from. That's where good intention and correct come from. Perhaps it comes from. Now, in 1 Corinthians 10, 13, it says, the temptations, listen, the temptations in your life are no different from what others are experiencing. And God is faithful. He will not allow the temptation to be more than you can stand. Ooh, oh, that's his temptation. When you are tempted, He will show you a way so that you can endure it. It's temptations. It's not the struggles, the trials, the pains of life, amen. It's temptation that He'll make sure that you can endure that right there, amen.
Amen.
So more you handle talking about temptation, being tempted. See, Paul reminds the Corinthian church the people of God were acting up and doing evil. They, even though being taken care of by God, God had blessed them, brought them to the promised land, did great things to them, you know. Happened was these same people, they fell into idolatry. And all kinds of deviant and sinful things they were doing. And one day, God wiped out 23,000 in one day. So Paul wanted to say, learn something from them. Don't go around thinking you are so strong that you cannot be tempted to fall because you're depending on your own strength. That's what Paul is saying right there, amen. See, Paul knew that in Corinth was ungodly, unholy situation. Corinthians was like Las Vegas on steroids. Amen. Everything go, everything went. And so Paul let them know, because God is faithful and loves you, before the temptation gets too great and too strong, that you can handle Him, make a way for you to escape it.
Amen.
So Paul is giving the warning to the Corinthian Christians, don't get so arrogant and prideful, now that you're believers, and you can just resist temptation and not fall. In other words, when it comes to temptation, don't push the envelope.
Amen.
That's what Paul is saying here. Amen. See, God knows a person's limits in regard to temptation. And He will not allow any temptation to supersede our ability to resist it. He will provide the spiritual resources that we will need to endure the temptation.
Amen.
Yes.
Furthermore, when we are tempted, we should be looking to the God-ordained way out of it. It's temptation. Do not allow it.
Amen.
Hebrews said it this way, because he himself has suffered when tempted, he is able to help those who are being tempted. In other words, we have an advocate, a friend, hallelujah, a helper in Jesus Christ, who opens the door for us a way to escape temptation.
Yes, yes.
You say, bottom line, we do not fall into temptation because God will make a way to escape it. But you must be looking for the exit route here.
Amen.
You got to pay attention, amen. Like when you drive on the freeway, you see the exit sign right there? It says, get off here, amen. That's brought home. Don't just go, well, I'll take the next 5 exits. No. Wait right, get off, take the exit. God provides a door for us to escape, amen. But sometimes the people, if you're not looking at it, you're not looking at the exit. I think I can get away with this one. I think I'll just turn a blind eye. I want to pass the exit and I'll take the next exit. Next exit becomes a big break down there. God makes a way for you to escape. You just have to watch. That's what Jesus says, watch and pray. Lest you fall into temptation.
Yes.
So we have an advocate to help us to escape the temptation. So that's what I'm talking about there. It's not the trials, it's about temptation. God will make a way to escape that right there. Good intentions, but incorrect. Does this help you guys? Hallelujah. Has this been something meaningful to you? Amen. Hallelujah. Amen. Like I said, because I want you to, once you leave here today, I'll make sure you got a doggy bag with you. You know, illustration, amen. When you go to a nice restaurant, have a nice dinner, amen, and the food is good, amen. You don't want to throw it away, so you say, waiter, bring me a doggy bag.
Come on.
Amen. So late tonight, I get my midnight snack, amen, huh? Amen. So I pray that you leave it, you leave a doggy bag, so sometime later today, amen, you have to reach in and snack on, amen.
Amen.
The word of God, amen. Praise God. So when I come to the conclusion here at high noon, here's what I want us to understand is that God will not allow us to be broadsided with more than we can handle. In every temptation. He'll make a way for us to escape. I don't know what the temptation may be. God will make a way for his children to escape.
Amen.
But when it comes to life's hardships and difficulties, we should be prepared to receive more than we can handle so that we can learn to rely on God and not on ourselves.
Yeah.
Bring it on, God. Bring it on. Bring it on, God. The more heavy it gets, the more I'm going to trust you. The more trials, the more I'm going to trust you, Lord God. The more difficult it gets, the more I'm going to trust you, Lord God. So either way, whether it's in great trials or moments of great temptation, be mindful, my brothers and sisters, to look to and lean on God. He is the answer.
Amen.
God is faithful. God is faithful. God is faithful. Great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand has provided. Great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness. So when I come up against the trials, the pressure of life, the burdens, and it's more than I can bear, I know that my God is faithful. The one who raised the dead and gives life to all. He is faithful. We just have to learn to rely on him and trust him. And believe that he can and that he will. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, God, you're so so faithful. We just stop right now and look back on our lives. And we can just see, Father, where you have been so faithful, so true to your word. We've come against some struggles, some difficulties, some pains in our lives that were truly unbearable. And we were almost about to give up and give in. And God, you lifted the load. We relied on you, Father. Even we thought with ourselves, ultimately in God, it was you who gave us the strength. And so today, Father, we thank you for the reminder that when the storms of life, when the winds of adversity hit us hard and heavy like a hurricane, and realize that it's painful and more than we can bear, help us understand, Father, that you're wanting us to rely on you and not ourselves. Thank you, Father.
Thank you, Lord.
I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Give God some praise. Now, perhaps today, after hearing the truth of God's word, there could be someone here today who wants to begin a walk with this God I just shared about. This faithful God who's with you and wants to help you endure the storms of life. If you're here today and you want to begin to trusting, relying on this God, the God of all creation, who has brought you here today, and you want to become part of this fellowship, this family of God, today what you do, you ain't got to be afraid, be scared, or timid. We want to rejoice with you. So if you're here today, you're saying, I really sense the Holy Spirit. Something is speaking to my heart. I never felt before, never thought like this before. Something is just urging me and calling me. Calling by name and saying, you need to do this today. You need to come and reconnect or connect with this church because you know you need what God has to offer you and you're not getting from no place else. You need to come to the faithful God who wants to welcome you into his kingdom, welcome you back into his kingdom, or just transfer you to this church because you're in God's kingdom. Would you please stand right now? And don't quench the voice of God. He may be calling you or you or you. You just come out there right now. Don't be ashamed. Don't be afraid. Say, God, this is what I need. This is what I want. I want Jesus. Hallelujah. God bless you. fellowship, that family, being with the family of God, that was lacking in your life. And that's really boy, your life. You said, Pastor, I need to come and just reconnect, reassociate, redefine my Christianity, and reconnect with a church family. If that's in your heart today, that's what God pressed in your spirit today, you need to come home. I will quench the spirit. I'm not what I used to be. I'm not going to stay where I am. I'm going to change today and come back to God. Are you here today? Father, thank you, Lord, for today. Thank you for your loving kindness, Father. Now, Lord, touch us. Bless those who came, Father. Let them know, God, that you have a plan for their lives. You want to show them, Father, how to live out this Christian life to its fullness. I pray this in Jesus' name.
He'll get
Be
it.
seated.
He'll pick up another mic.
Good God we serve. Thank you. Praise God, amen. Again, it's been a joy to unpack the Word of God and truth to you, amen. And I pray that it can unpack your lives. And now, as we said, we're going to come at this time here to bless the Lord with our offerings. And I want to thank each member for your support and contributions. Because of your offerings and givings, amen, with the discipline of the church, I want to thank God we're able to finally, after 20-some years, we finally got air conditioning. So now we have dinner back there, and we can close the doors and enjoy the air conditioning in the dining hall back there. We praise God for that. And after looking around the different prices, the total price for the 5-ton unit that heats the offices, the kitchen, the dining hall, and the nursery, the total cost was only $7,000. We had priced it high as $17,000. So I thank God that helped Brother Carl. We worked around and talked about it and got it figured out and got him to take care of it. We thank God for that. Amen. So again, it's your supplement offering day. So your giving is not in vain. I also like to say, for those who, in case you're wondering, where the money goes, when it comes to on the foyer tailback there, there's our 6-month financial statement back there. You can see the money cover goals and stuff like that. So make sure we're transparent. You can see those numbers right there. Understand what goes. Again, I thank you so much for your givings consistently and always. Thank you for that. And also those, like I say, sometimes if you're not here sometimes, and you say, I'm not here at church, I want to make sure my tithes get there, just go to our website, www.gbcrialto, and you can give online this security. Just click online right there. You can use your credit card, debit card, and send them out to church. A one-time gift, a regular amount each month, do it like that, and you can support that. Even when you're not here, you can make sure that the tithe offers come to the church. And you go to the secure site, amen, with your credit card or debit card, go to our website, just click on online giving. They'll show you how to do it there, you sign up, and you can automatically deduct it weekly or monthly or just periodically. That way you never forget about support the church. Again, thank you so much. May God bless you. I'm going to come at this time to see our gifts of gratitude, amen. Come on, Brother Carmen, also praise God, amen. Amen. Sit.
Father God, thank you for this chance, this opportunity to give back just a portion of what you give to us. We know that you are just stewards of what you give. We ask that you will bless those who give today and also bless those who have a heart to give or are unable to. We ask that these funds go to the building of your kingdom. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Could everyone please stand, turn toward the wall, and be guided by the direction of the ushers.
Let us pray. Father God, Lord, we just thank you right now for this opportunity, Father, to give to the ministry, to the building of the ministry, to the saving of souls, Father. Father, continue to bless us here at Greater Faith Grace Bible Church. For we only want to do your will, oh God.
Yes, Lord God. Yes.
It's in thy awesome name that we pray. Amen.
Amen. Before we dismiss, again, I want to say to Sister Margie, I want to thank you for your guests who came to us today. God bless you. Love you much. Appreciate you. All the way from East Chicago, Indiana. God bless you. You know that Mother Pelham is a very precious member of our church here, and you always have friends at Greater Faith Grace Bible Church. I pray you have traveling grace back to your destination, and anytime out this way, please stop in and visit us, okay? We love you so much. Amen. Amen. Before we dismiss, I have Brother Bass to come and say some words, amen. I want to on next Saturday is Health Diversity Health Rated Church here. We need all men on deck from 7 a.m. to 2 o'clock, amen. All men on deck, amen. We need to help out. We need lots of work getting done there, so I'm expecting all the men to be there, amen. We need your help and your support. We've got to organize stuff, set up booths, things like that to make it happen. So it's going to be a great health fair. We're having free vision testing, free hearing testing, free blood pressure, diabetes testing, free echocardiogram, free haircuts, free massages, makeup. Also, for the men, we're having free prostate cancer screening. So please come out to this event right here, and there's going to be about 35 different booths and vendors out here, party park and things like that. It's going to be really a great, awesome event there. We got flyers back there, so take some flyers, pass out some flyers, get the word out and let it be known about this event. So men, we need you on deck at that time. Sister Linda, yes?
We have something to share with our church. If we can have a minute.
Okay.
Thank you.
Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord.
Pastor already said half of it, so you know next Saturday is going to be our.
It's going to be our Diversity Wellness Health Fair. And the men's ministry has been sharpshooting this event. Brother Carl has been phenomenal in helping us. Pastor, thank you for all your work.
God bless you.
First Lady, thank you for all your work. All of you, thank you. We need you there. We need you there this Saturday. All these activities are going to be free. It's going to be free. We just
Amen.
need you there. Because you're sharing the word about the Lord by your being here, helping the community, sharing with them that God is here for them. You know, and you're just opening the door, planting that seed. At the same time, you are giving them opportunity to empower themselves, not only physically, emotionally, but spiritually.
Amen.
And this is your responsibility,
Amen.
our responsibility, as brothers and sisters in our Lord. So we have a little skit here for you that Sister Caroline has. She is my partner in crime. And Sister Caroline said, we need to do this. And then she puts me in the fork. All right.
We're going to do a little something here, okay?
All right.
Got yours on?
All right. How do you like this, y'all?
Everybody ready?
Yes.
All right. Be ready now. All right.
When I say hell, you say fair. Hell?
Fair.
Hell?
Fair.
When I say hell, you say fair. Hell?
Fair.
Hell?
Fair.
When I say price, you say free. Price?
Free.
Price?
Free.
Price?
Free.
Price?
Free.
When I say September, you say 15. September?
15.
September?
15.
September?
15.
September?
15.
When I say where, you say GFGBC. Where?
GFGBC.
Where?
GFGBC.
Where?
GFGBC.
Where?
GFGBC.
When I say time, you say 10. Time?
10.
Time?
10.
Time?
10.
Time?
10.
Okay, hope to see you all at the
Hallelujah. Amen. Amen. Praise God. Glory. Come on, brother. Glory to God. Stand up, my brother. Stand up, my brother, my brother, my brother. Brother, you are an answer to a prayer. Answer to a prayer. Amen. I have been praying and asking the Lord and saying, God, yes, the church is coming along and people are attending and adding and stuff like that. But I'm saying, God, there's nobody coming and getting baptized. I said, God, that has to change. The transfer growth is nice, but fresh growth is great because that person coming into the kingdom of God for the first time. Glory. I've been praying for that. And brother, he came we walked in the church morning at about 9, about 8:55, introduced himself and said, I'm going to be for Sunday school and for church, gave a group testimony, which y'all heard this morning. And the day our brother Norman Johnson came for salvation and baptism. Brother Daniel led him in a prayer of salvation to receive Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. And brother, we say, welcome. Welcome to God. Stephen, brother Herman. Bless God, you are now a child of God, walking with the Lord Jesus Christ. And you have the guaranteed assurance of eternal life. You have heard, you have received, and you have believed. The Bible says, Whoever calls the name of the Lord shall be saved. Believe in the Lord Jesus Christ and you shall be saved. And brother, you are just as saved as me. I've been with God since 1977, thereabouts, and you are just as saved as I am.
Amen.
You are a child of God, brother. And we're here for you to nurture your growth, to see that you become God, all that God wants you to become, to walk in His way and to serve the Lord Jesus Christ, brother. And I thank God for you. Yes, God has a plan for you. Yes, God has a purpose. Yes, God has a vision and project. We thank God for that. And we'll baptize you. If not this year, we'll definitely baptize within the next few weeks. Amen. We'll get with you, get a date set, and even at the baptism, but you are still born to the family of God. Know that you are a child of God. God bless you, brother. Thank you. We thank you, Father. You've allowed Greater Faith Grace Bible Church today to rejoice with the angels in heaven over one person to come back to you. In Jesus' name. Amen. Yes, Brother Curtis. Brother Curtis. Amen. This is well worth the amen. Hallelujah. Praise God. Praise God. Hallelujah. This is Kenneth Hooker. He's the brother of Harold Hooker. Amen. Praise God. Amen. Glory to God. Fellowship transfer. Look what God is doing. Look what God is doing. Hallelujah. We just thank God. He's been coming almost about 4 or 5 months now, practically. Amen. And we thank God for the day that God spoke to your heart and equipped you, brother, to say, yes, hallelujah. A double blessing, amen. Amen. Glory to God, amen. God is so good, amen. Brother comes, you know the Lord Jesus Christ. He's given his life to Jesus Christ. And now he's just coming down and say, I want to be part of this fellowship. Make it official, amen. And let's see, he almost been like a member since becoming a basis, so faithful. And we thank God for that, amen. And now just a official step, and Brother Kenneth, we thank you and we appreciate that. And we, again, just welcome you into the family of God. Amen. We know that God's going to use you and bless you, and we thank God for you. And we're your family here, along with Brother Johnson, right? We're all part of the family right now. We're going to work together, serve together, love together, go through the good, the bad, the ugly together, because we are God's children. Amen. God, glory to God. Father, in the name of Jesus, thank you for Brother Kenneth. God, I pray you put your hand upon him and upon Brother Johnson, Lord God, and let these two men know that there is a need at this church that only they can meet and fulfill. So God, let them be used by you, Father, to bring glory to your name. Wherever they go, God, let them be an instrument, a vessel of the love of Jesus Christ. And Father, we give you all the glory for adding to this church as you saw fit. In Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Praise God. Glory to God. Amen. Glory to God. Glory, glory. Yeah, I don't mind hanging around with stuff like this, amen. This makes it with God, amen. When we see God and work, God is good, amen. And still want to close, we're thinking that next few minutes, amen. Before we dismiss, I do want to have the book of baskets. You got to come down, brother, right now. And come on, but you know, you can't do it. Come on down. You got to say it all of us. Come on down here, brother Basket. Come on down. You know you should have told me this coming by. See that? Now you know you should have told me it's coming by. But you know what's going to happen. You knew, that's why you didn't tell me, right? You know why I didn't tell me? Because he didn't want to preach. That's why I didn't tell me. But you know, he told me to preach, he didn't want to preach it.
God bless.
But
I was here for the message that you shared this morning.
okay.
What a blessing.
God bless you, brother.
Greetings to you in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Joy to be here with you all.
Amen.
We all experienced this morning It's what it's all about.
Amen.
That's all. That's what it's about. And just to say hello from Joyce and I is just a joy. And the message was for me.
Thank you.
And because of the battle of traditions. And you and I have talked about that.
Definitely, yes.
That's the battle that we are endeavoring. And we went to Louisiana to lay back and enjoy life. But God still has us on the battlefield.
Yes.
And we'll let you know the teaching that we receive here from you, that God allowed through you, has been a blessing to us. And St. Francisville and Baton Rouge area. So we want to thank you for that. And Pastor and I, we talk all the time. I cry on the shows, he cry on there. But most of the time I cry on here. But God is still good. So with your prayers, and we'll be praying for you. God bless you. God bless you.
Amen. Again, God bless you. Appreciate you. Remember, next week, Saturday, health fair, Bible class on the Wednesday night. And also next Sunday is Sunday School Commitment Day. Not today, I will be at Sunday School. Hell come high water. I want to be at Sunday School. Amen. Praise God. Let us all stand. Amen. Someone to know you and receive you, and to bring addition to this great faith, Grace Bible Church. Thank you, Father, for the word of God, the word of truth. We walk in power, walk in victory, Father. Give us traveling grace, oh God. Let us be useful and mindful that we're in your hands, and you will give us situations that will cause us to rely on you and not on ourselves. Thank you, Father. We love you, we praise you, and commit our lives to you. Let all of God's people say together.